entertainmentbuddha.com.
Dun 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 wah 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 dun 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 wah 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 dun 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 wah 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 wah. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Star Wars Time. It's Matt and Nick, and we're back to talk all things Star Wars. That's right, literally all things. Cartoons, comic books, TV shows, movies, video games. Yeah, right, like there's ever going to be another Star Wars video game. So, Nick, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. You know what I'm excited about in terms of video game front? The new Sith raid just released. Oh, that's right.
The Sith Triumvirate. The Sith Triumvirate is now live in Galaxy Heroes. And trust me, people, if you're not playing that game, you're literally missing out on what could be the greatest free-to-play game of all time.
Yeah, dude, it's really fucking good. I mean, if you are a fan,
we had no plans to talk about this, but let's carve out a few seconds for this game. I mean, as Nick just teased, this game has now received another huge content update, which is both in terms of content and gameplay and what they deem quality of life improvements, which I love, by the way. I love that they call them quality of life. So we have a brand new raid, which folds in, nonetheless, KOTOR 2 lore, right? I mean, it's the Sith Triumvirate. It's Scion, it's fucking Homegirl, and Nihilus.
And Traya.
So they are the new raid. I have not played it yet. I haven't launched it. I was supposed to launch it tonight, and shit, I was supposed to launch a lot of stuff tonight, and my guild's gonna be pissed.
Dude, it's actually, I should probably just join your guild. I don't. What is the name of your guild? I don't know if you want to throw it out on a cast, but I do.
Yes, Lord Vader, because it owns. We're an Empire guild, so yes, Lord Vader.
Okay, so I'm gonna join your guild, but the one that I'm currently in right now launched it the day it came out, and
on heroic or on what level?
I'm pretty sure it's on. I don't think it's on heroic. I think it's just on normal because I'm using 6 stars in it, so that's not heroic, right?
Well, I mean, you can't do heroic. Now that I think about it, you have to beat it on the penultimate difficulty to even unlock heroic. So
yeah, so I don't think anybody's to that point yet. But we can barely put a dent in the first boss, Darth Nihilus. Like, he is, it's fucking.
Well, dude,
crazy.
I looked at the requirements. It's like gear level 12, and if anyone plays it, that's gold gear. So that's no fucking joke.
Dude, I don't have anybody. I'm not level 85 yet in that game because I'm a piece of shit and I stopped playing for a couple months. I'm only level 8, like player level 80. So, and my highest gear level is Mason Luminara, and I think they're both 11. Or no, they're not 11. They're 10. They're both 10. And I'm like, I throw a squad into this, and like I said, like my shit's not really that high yet. I can do some okay damage, but like just getting to the health bar of Nihilus is hard, and he's only the first fight in it. Like, I'm pretty sure you have to go through all 3. So that's pretty crazy. And then also along with the raid release, they released the events to get the initial shards for Darth Sion and Visas Mar, who is the third boss in the raid. That's Kreia. So that game, like we were saying, if you want to play Star Wars video games, if you have a cell phone, which
this
everybody
is all you got, people.
Does,
I mean, this is all you got, and this is good. I'm not kidding. It is good shit, and you do not have to spend $1 to get enjoyment out of it. I mean, we're talking if you string together all of your little gameplay sessions throughout a day, this game can net you easily an hour, if not 2 hours a day of gameplay for free.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And now, like you said, with this quality of life improvements, you
can sim the Galactic War. I mean, it's like, come on, you can be brainless and play this game. All you have to do is like, bah.
Yeah, just hit the sim button and that's it. And then also, now they just throw sim tickets at you. Like, they just give them to you for nothing.
Oh, yeah,
like,
with the update. I mean, I'm like, shit, I got almost 300 sim tickets now.
Yeah.
I love these people. That just goes to show you, though, how much the whales are spending. I talked to these guys at Celebration last year. I talked to the developers. He's like, dude, we're now a 100-man team just to support this free-to-play mobile game because of the whales.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've spent some money on stuff because for games like this, and then like for also, like, I play a lot of other free-to-play games like Fortnite, Heroes of the Storm from Blizzard and stuff like that. If I'm really into a free-to-play, I'll drop a few dollars here and there on it. Like, you know, maybe $10 a month, $20 a month or something like that. If something piques my fancy that's new, I'll throw the developers some cash, and then that way they can, you know, they can stay supported. They don't have to work with the skeleton crew. So I'm not afraid to throw a little bit of money.
Dude, the only reason I don't spend is because of how much I spend on Star Wars toys.
Yeah, the toy. Your toys.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've already just for everyone's information, in this year alone, I have already committed $2,000 to Star Wars Hot Toys figures. Whew. I don't have a single figure yet, and I won't have most of them till the end of the year, some 2019. And I've already committed to spend that much money on toys. So that's why I have not already spent $1,000 on this game. Because if I wasn't spending on toys, I can tell you right now, this would be $100 a month game for me.
And your wife would beat you over the head with something.
I mean, she lets me do the toys, so I guess it wouldn't be any different, except I wouldn't have anything to show for it. But my point is, if I didn't have that already frivolous expenditure per month, I would have no problem spending money on this game.
Yeah, dude.
Because it brings me joy, and I like working towards ranking shit up and getting those fucking, like, I finally have a pit raid squad now that I can solo it on one team and get, you know, almost 11 million points.
Jesus,
on Heroic Pit. I can literally beat Heroic Pit by myself.
See, while Matt's doing that, I'm proud
and I haven't spent a dollar. I haven't spent a dollar, but I've played this game since the first day it came out. I mean, I'm going to be a 3-year player here in November of 2018.
Which is fucking incredible.
And that's how dedicated and addicting the game is. So anyways, there's your public service announcement. EA, you're welcome. Eat a dick, because I know you'll never hear it, and you don't give a shit anyways, because you promised me at Star Wars Celebration you're going to send me all sorts of good fucking loot, and you never did.
Damn. Call out. Send it to the guy who who told you that.
Exactly.
Send him this podcast.
Fuck you, guy. All right, so let's get into the news for the week, Nick. So, like I said, it was kind of all over the map. I mean, we were hardcore on Solo there right at the beginning of the month of February, right? Because it was finally like, okay, hey, they decided to promote it. And then it kind of died off. We haven't heard much in the past 2 weeks, but we're starting to get rumblings about Star Wars Episode 9. We're getting some rumblings about shit that went down in 8. So this week, the news really revolved around 8 and the novelization and some of the revelations, as well as some rumors and confirmations about shit that was going on with Episode 8 and 9. That's kind of where we're going to start. We're going to start with the fact that at one point in time, J.J. Abrams had drafts for the entire trilogy.
Yeah, so he had a draft ready to go, completed draft for Episode 8, and he also had the completed draft for Episode 9. And according to, these reports, basically nothing from the original J.J. draft of Episode 8 made it into the movie. Like,
Zero.
Ryan did his
Zilch.
Own thing.
Nada.
Nothing. Yeah. Which, we talked about this a little bit off cast, and it was around the fact that, like, clearly JJ had, like, an entire vision for this trilogy, and
well, I mean, how could you not, Nick? And I've said this before, and I think you agree with me. I do feel like when we're talking about a trilogy, whatever. I mean, maybe if it expands upon a trilogy, but especially a Star Wars trilogy, I don't know how you introduce different visions for each film, because in the end, directors, writers, screenwriters, they're artists, and artists are artists. They're their own. They create their own art. I don't understand why Kathleen and Disney and Lucasfilm at the onset of this project said, let's try to split this up.
Yeah, I don't know if it was because
I don't get it.
Like, I really think what happened was they looked at the OT model and they saw 3 different directors, but they left out the Lucas factor.
Yeah, but they forgot that motherfucker was driving the goddamn important shit, which is the fucking story.
Yeah, exactly. And
I mean, in the end, a lot of times directors aren't the fucking screenwriters, right? I mean, they're the people executing the script.
Oh yeah, dude. It's only in this new era of filmmaking.
Of course, that you're getting the director is both the writer and the visionary that is crafting it on film.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, early 90s filmmaking, the only prominent writer directors were the indie kickers, and then also your huge ones like Spielberg, Scorsese, stuff like that. Everybody else was directing stuff that other people had written. So we're so used to living in this world where oh yeah, JJ wrote and directed episode 7, Ryan Coogler wrote and directed Black Panther, and most of the Marvel directed and the Disney controlled stuff is both written and directed by the guy, by one person. But that's not how it always was, and that was evident with the original Star Wars trilogy, where George was, like you said, George was the story half, and then you had Lawrence Kasdan in 6 and then Irvin Kershner in 5, who were the directing arms. But the story group doesn't serve the same function as George Lucas did back in the original trilogy days.
Does that... Are you not surprised now to learn that they're essentially... I mean, to me, I think they're like lore checkers at most.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy to think.
They're like almost nobody to me at this point.
Yeah, because even going into episode 8...
they're...
we talked a lot about the story group's not going to fuck anything up, and so we were working under the assumption that the story group
and we were wrong. In the end, it's always been the directors are writing the story, and they're essentially approving it.
Yeah, and to me even the approval process seems a little bit crazy because, and this is something that we're going to roll into a little bit in the next article, is that
yeah, you would transition over, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you would figure, that whoever, since we had 3 different directors initially on this trilogy, that, when they hired Colin Trevorrow, they could tell him for sure, here's who you will be working with in terms of characters for episode 9. But that wasn't the case, apparently.
Right, did you not think when this was all announced that ultimately there was a general arc for the trilogy defined that the directors would have to adhere to, not that they would dictate?
Yeah, I thought that it was going to work here's the arc, you fill in the middle, but really it was, we kind of have the middle filled in, you write the
it was more like, hey, we have 3 movies to make, go do it.
Yeah, it's hit these beats. And
just let us know what your ideas are, because maybe we won't agree with them for the overall Star Wars franchise. But in the end, it's on you guys to come up with the story. We have nothing. We have no input.
Yeah, so
that really surprised me, because through all this, even up through going into The Last Jedi and as it debuted, I honestly thought that the directors were working within the confines of what the story group had established. Yeah. But it's the exact opposite. The directors are establishing everything, and the story group is essentially approving it.
Yeah, and I think that's, you made the point last week of saying, that's why they gave Ryan an entire trilogy now to do, instead of saying here's one movie and then, two other people will do the other ones. They now realize they need a cohesive vision through the whole thing.
This is a great lead into the next post dealing with the Skywalker trilogy, and this is a rumor coming out now from Reddit, which again, and I really think this is just fan-sided type of shit, but it's interesting to talk about. So, but anyways, there's this theory out there now that one of the main reasons Trevorrow got ditched from Episode 9 was because he did not want Rian Johnson's vision for two characters in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, essentially he had written his script to heavily include both Luke and Snoke, and Luke in terms of actually being alive, and then also using Snoke as a character in his film. And then once he realized that couldn't happen, he started to push back, according to this theory, and Disney wasn't having it. He was like, look, Rian did what he wanted to do, and we're not going to change it for you. And then they booted his ass out. So, that being said,
I think you never know with this shit. I mean, I think a lot of it's bullshit. I think some of it could be truthful. I think the vision that they're proposing in this article, Nick, would have been fantastic. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to summarize kind of what they were going for here in La La Land.
Well, essentially, here's what I wanted to say before that is when he first got fired, the initial thing that came out was creative differences. Then
it was a cocksucker.
Yeah, and then it came out that he was a dick. But in this case, the creative differences thing makes sense because creatively, he had a completely...
Of course.
He probably had worked on that script for a while, and when he found out what Rian was working with, he was like, well, that kind of fucks up my whole vision. And
well, in the end, who the fuck... I mean, shouldn't there have been someone saying, hey, by the way, 8 becomes before 9, dummy. So why are you trying to fucking write your movie before this asshole has even shot his? You know what I mean? What the fuck's going on here at Lucasfilm?
Yeah, I mean, that's
what's
kind of
the story group's purpose? I mean, why do you have a guy trying to finish a trilogy before the middle's written?
Yeah, that was what I was going to say is look, they
and
hired
why is
Trevorrow
no one listening to JJ? He already wrote all 3. I mean, what the fuck?
I just don't understand it. You hire Trevorrow and you say, you hire Trevorrow around the same time that, Rian hadn't started filming Episode 8 yet, right? When Trevorrow was hired? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, dude, we're talking. This is years ago now.
Yeah, this was 2013, a while ago.
14, but weren't all 3 announced essentially kind of at the same time?
Yeah, they were close.
JJ's here, Johnson's here, and Trevorrow's here. I believe it was that type of a reveal.
Yeah,
so it's at one point they were all brought in on the same fucking page. But now we're hearing JJ wrote the whole goddamn trilogy, and then Rian was like, eat a dick, and Colin's like, suck a dick, and then Trevorrow's like, fuck you, Colin, Colin's like, fuck you, and...
It's just so weird, because, what
the fuck's the story group supposed to be doing?
Yeah,
why are they called the story group?
I mean, what is Pablo Hidalgo just sitting around, making shit up? What? I don't know what his purpose is, but, here's the thing to me is
that's what I'm trying to get at. What is the purpose of the story group at this point in time? Is there a purpose?
I just don't understand it. And you bring up a perfect point. Why would you hire somebody that early in the process for a finality movie in a trilogy and give him free reign to do whatever he wants and then say, oh wait, you did all that work on something, but now it can't happen because the guy in the middle did whatever he wanted and it conflicts with your vision.
It all goes back to my argument that a trilogy of this scope and size and importance needs to be controlled by a singular vision. I honestly think in the end, if JJ was able to carry out all 3, and he could be the reason why he didn't do all 3. I mean, I think he probably is, because I remember him saying, I really didn't even want to do this because I'm always labeled the fucking... the reboot guy or the trilogy guy, but he's like, how could I turn it down? But I think in the end he wanted to do something else in between doing more Star Wars. I mean, we gotta remember he was sucked back into it. Yeah. He was not originally planned to do 9. But I think in the end the trilogy would have benefited more from one cohesive vision versus the myriad that we're getting here. And in the end, we're going to get 2 movies from the same guy, but we still have a middle from a different guy, and clearly a guy that is polarizing for a lot of fans, which is interesting.
Yeah. So going back to what you said earlier, what Colin, I mean, again, this is from Reddit rumors. Take this with a grain of salt, but this is what
and there's
Colin's
two
vision,
big things, and they're fucking huge. I mean,
Colin's vision was, one of them could not be avoided. It was around Carrie Fisher, and Carrie Fisher obviously has passed away. So,
right, but she was. He was, and this is honestly what we've talked about. Where I said I ultimately envisioned Leia almost having a showdown with her son and actually flexing her force powers, and that's exactly what they were going to do.
Yeah, exactly. It said, in this it says Mark Hamill loved the vision that Colin had for him in episode 9, and he said that in his story, they wanted to bring Leia and Luke back together and have her force affinity revealed in more of a, in that relationship with Luke, and have it, brought out in that way, and not because of the way it happened in episode 8.
They said going to be beautiful and tragic, so it's almost like either Luke or Leia was going to die as they both were like going full ham force on something.
Yeah, and then this is where it kind of gets a little maybe a little fanny, a little crazy, and then he says, Hamill loved it, we were on the same page, and this was a quote from Hamill apparently. This is maybe before Colin was kicked out. He said, we were on the same page about a Trevor storyline. However, Kennedy and Johnson wanted Luke dead. That may be, I don't know how much Kathleen
there's like a legitimate following or like a movement going on behind Disney hates Luke Skywalker.
It's very possible, but I don't think that there's any reason to say that. Regardless of what my
people
thoughts are on his
dumb
thing.
As shit.
I don't think that there's no way that Disney can buy Star Wars and be like, we fucking hate Luke Skywalker.
What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck's wrong
on.
with people? Honestly, what the fuck is wrong with people?
And also, we have a whole nother movie coming out in 2 years where Luke Skywalker can be made the perfect, force being ever. So there's still a whole, 2.5.
And I hope to God he is, and Hamill's just playing it up that he's an out of work actor, because another big thing this week is that a Twitter user may have legitimately gotten Mark Hamill into Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I saw that, dude. That was hilarious.
It's awesome. It literally went down on Twitter. A fan suggested, James Gunn obliged, Hamill got into it, and they literally were like, no, if you're serious, DM me, and they're like, let's do it. Yeah. So and then but Hamill played it up like he's out of work, but as Nick said, there's no reason that Luke can't be in 9.
Yeah, exactly.
Prominently. He can be in it just as much as Obi-Wan was in fucking Jedi Empire, if not more. Come on.
And so the second thing that Colin wanted was Snoke still alive, as his backstory was to be more of a focal point in episode 9. Sure. So those were two. If he built his script off of those two major things, like a backstory for Snoke being discussed, and also the relationship between Luke and Leia, Luke still being alive, and then Leia also being alive, and then coming to her force affinity through that bond with Luke, and then obviously with the tragedy part of that probably confronting Kylo, then that really does fuck up all the work you put in. And I'm not saying that Colin's a good guy or anything like that, because I also believe the reports that the dude was real dickish and was probably
well in the end, here's
with.
The key part at the end of the article. Again, this guy didn't get fired until September of 2017, which is a year after principal photography ended on The Last Jedi. Yeah, so that fucking story shot, my friends. So, what the fuck is this guy doing there a year later if he didn't like the way the story went? So, it kind of leans towards that he's a fucking dickwad.
Yeah, it almost feels like part of it could be true. He really did push. When he found out what Ryan's story was, he did push and was like, whoa, I wrote this whole script around this idea, and now it's fucking shot to hell. And then he kind of subsided, and he was like, all right, fine, I'll try to rework it. And then he turned into an asshole because his vision was dead.
Well, yeah, which just makes no sense. I really think he was let go because he wasn't playing ball like the fucking brother, or Miller and Lord weren't playing ball.
Yeah. So
you don't stay on a project for a year if you disagree with the fucking narrative. You don't.
Yeah, so
you just don't.
Obviously, all this just goes back to what me and Matt were talking about earlier with the lack of complete, well, not even complete direction, but clear direction from a story group, you can have these weird interactions when you have 3 directors working on it that are also...
You might as well just call them the Bozo group. I mean, what the fuck do they do, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, you got three guys sleeping in a room. Ryan Johnson knocks on the door. Here's my script. 20 minutes later, check mark on the front. All right, here you go. Go make it.
Okay, you didn't bring back Jar Jar, and you didn't kill off fucking this person, so you're good.
Yeah, so as long as you don't kill any of the new characters, you're all good, apparently.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, those were our little bits on episodes 8 and 9, and then also kind of the directorial stances and the workings of the story group. Obviously, JJ's first treatment for episode 9, his draft is probably dead in the water. He probably can't use that. But we'll see. I'm sure he has. And like we discussed last
it's
week,
done. Like the new script's in the can. I mean, it's going to deal with Leia, which I honestly think we have a very great theory on that right now based on some of the novelization, which we're going to get to. But before we get there, we Nick dug up 2 pieces on our man John Williams, who is probably one of the greatest movie what do you want to call this guy? Yeah, I mean he's literally one of the best movie composers. He is the best movie composer of all time. I mean he has some of the most iconic themes across multiple different super mega size franchises: Star Wars, Jaws, Superman, Indiana Jones. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a legend, and not only is he a legend, he is 86 years old, and he's still actively working.
Doing it.
I know, it's crazy.
This guy writes music like most of us get up and get on our phones and send a fucking social media post.
Yeah.
I mean just think about that. This guy writes fucking orchestral scores like it's no big deal.
Yeah,
based on fucking images he sees. Does anyone understand how these scores get written, by the way? These guys literally are just sent the fucking dailies or rough cuts, and they see the action, and they're like, okay, this is what I think would complement what I'm seeing on screen.
Yeah, like
that to me is almost more impressive than just a musician writing a song.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane to think about it, because, I mean, I feel like both me and you have probably watched Star Wars on mute. Like, you know, it's on TV. We have to mute it for a little while for some reason, and we're just seeing the images. But we already know in our heads what music is playing at those times.
Well, we've also said without John Williams, Star Wars is not where it's at. Not the same level, not as impactful as it is without John Williams.
I mean, the guy is a magician. Like you said, to look at something that has no music behind it, no life breath almost, because that's what a score is the life breath of a movie, and then create it out of nothing. Like the fact that he was able to create those iconic scores for Luke and Leia and Han, and even in the new trilogy with Rey and Finn and Poe, to create those character scores from zero is one of the most impressive things that anybody can think of in terms of the movie business. It's incredible. And so the news around John Williams is that it is highly likely that after Episode 9 wraps, that John Williams will retire from composing film scores altogether. It's a huge loss not only for Star Wars, but it's also for the entire movie industry.
Movies in general. But I mean, come on. I mean, the guy needs a few years to take a fucking break. I mean, he's got multiple Oscars, thousands of nominations. Yeah, he's done everything. I mean, he's probably achieved everything you can achieve as a movie composer.
I don't know does he have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? Oh,
he has to. You know what, dude? Speaking of that, are you not surprised that Hamill just got one now? Yeah,
I mean, okay, I will say this: like, Mark is a fantastic actor in Star Wars,
but I mean, that was it.
Yeah,
that's all I got. But I mean, Batman the Animated Series, and then all the other shit he's done with Joker. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves one for sure, just because he turned a career that could have gone to nothing after Star Wars. And
I mean, Trump got one for The Apprentice.
Yeah, I mean, that is fucking insane. It definitely undeserved. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Mark that he finally has one. And it was funny because I think on his Instagram or his Twitter, he put up a story about when he was working with Harrison on Star Wars. Harrison already had a star. Harrison already had a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and Mark thought he was fucking with him. He was like, "No, you don't." And then Harrison showed him a different Harrison Ford's star on the Walk of Fame.
There's literally 2 Harrison Ford stars.
There's 2 Harrison Fords. So now both of them have it because Harrison has his real one, and then Mark's gonna get his very soon. So it's great. And then I'm just gonna do a quick Google search here to make sure that John Williams is on the Hollywood Walk of Fame like he should be. But yeah, I mean, this dude has not only done, like you said, Star Wars, but he's done so much, and then he's achieved anything that you could in the movie industry. Does John Williams have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? He does not as of 2013.
Oh, wow. That's insane. That just goes to show you how big of a joke they really are, to be honest with you.
Yeah, dude, I just don't understand how somebody of his stature, and it's the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Right, I mean, is it only for actors and directors and, camera people?
Because they have, the Beatles are on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Huh.
So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I don't see it on there. Maybe after he retires, they'll throw him a bone and be like, "Hey, guy, here you go." Okay, Here we go. John Williams. There's a whole thing on it.
There's a GoFundMe page.
Yeah, there's there's a Facebook music group. There's everything on it. So apparently he has not gotten his star yet.
I guess we don't know art when we think we do. This is random as fuck, but I'm seeing this in the sidebar of this comic book article. They're retiring the Wilhelm screen from Star Wars.
Whoa, really?
That's huge, man. I mean, if you're a real Star Wars fan, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, dude, that's
the Wilhelm is always it's a gag used in a lot of movies, but it's usually a nod to Star Wars. But it's whenever you hear a guy getting killed, going like a very exaggerated fucking scream.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay.
That's sad.
Man, John Williams retiring, the Wilhelm screen retiring.
Yeah, Disney truly hates Star Wars, man.
They're killing it.
They're probably the ones that made Williams retire, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So, guys, everybody who's out there signing petitions about Disney, get Disney away from Star Wars.
You're killing my childhood. But anyways, Nick, there's another story about John Williams, and this one is probably not a story you would even think about coming out of John Williams.
Yeah, coming out of John especially. He says that he believes in Episode 9 that there will be a true reveal of Rey's parents. That is not anything that I would ever hear.
If he's saying that that's going down, it's going down.
Yeah, dude.
Because Rian Johnson himself, and we talked about it, I mean, he already opened the door. He's like, listen, I do not consider what Kylo said to Rey as being a definitive truth. He's like, I wrote it that way because I believed he thought it would have been a way to grab her at a vulnerable moment and get her to join him.
Yeah, to hurt her. To really kind of
just be like, yo, you're no one. Like, listen, because you're nobody, you got nothing to lose. Why don't you come with me and let's fucking kick some ass?
Yeah. He says, the article itself is actually, a lot about him talking about, his love of Star Wars, how it started, and then also his love of Daisy Ridley as an actress. So,
of course he loves her. She's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, she is. She's fucking great. But it was funny because he says last year Kathleen Kennedy rung him up and says obviously Kathleen Kennedy's going to call John Williams to do the score. And Kathleen asked, "You want to do the music for The Last Jedi?" And John had a qualifying question. He didn't just say yes. He said, "Is Daisy Ridley in it?" Kathleen says yes. And then John says, "I'm in."
Yeah, like, why wouldn't she be in it?
Yeah.
Like,
well, one, why wouldn't she be in it? And then two, John loves Daisy that much to where he's like, if she's not in this movie, I'm not doing it.
He's creeping.
Done Star Wars his whole life.
He's creeping on her.
I know. But he does. He also says that Rey's parents might actually be identified in the next film because he doesn't, like, he is also one of those people who doesn't buy they're nobodies.
I love it. So,
I mean, some good John Williams here. And then, you know, in the article and in the interview, he also goes on to talk about how initially in 1977, when the first Star Wars was made and he was scoring it, nobody thought that there was going to be another movie. Like, not even George.
I mean, exactly. I mean, that's not anything new. I mean, George himself has said that he's like, hey, these idiots fucking funded this. I'm running with it.
Yeah. So, we don't often hear from John Williams.
No, that's why I love this. I mean, I love that he offered up his opinion on like some narrative stuff. I think it's great.
Yeah, so, you know, God bless John Williams. The dude's a fucking legend. The fact that he doesn't have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is a travesty.
Yeah, it's criminal.
And, man, Star Wars is going to be so different without him on it. We've only had one Star Wars movie ever that has not had him as the composer, and both of us, when Rogue One released, were like, man, this movie rocked, but you know what rocked harder if fucking Williams was in the seat.
Yeah, and in the end, the only thing about the music that really stands out as off-putting is the logo reveal. I mean, it was so
anticlimactic. It didn't have that punch.
No, dude, it reminds me of like the cheesiness of the Clone Wars beginning, like. It's just like that, you know, huge fucking fanfare type of music and the logo. It's weird.
Yeah, it just didn't feel the same. So,
but he didn't fully score Solo though, right? I mean, he did the main theme, right?
Yeah, he didn't fully score it. So there's gonna be some. I think they revealed who the other composer was. We fucking talked about it on a cast, but it slips in my mind because we talk about so much shit.
He's not one of, to me here are the top composers. You know, Williams.
Yeah.
Zimmer.
Yep.
Shore. Dude, Howard Shore.
Yeah, and
he did Lord of the Rings and all that stuff.
Yeah. And then, like, honestly, dude, like, score, I don't know, a bunch of composers. A lot of people hate Danny Elfman.
I don't know. I like his style.
Yeah, I mean, his style is very, like,
his fucking 89 Batman theme owns.
Yeah,
right?
It did. It was
that
fucking
shit
fantastic.
Fucking owns.
Yeah.
And Beetlejuice owns. Like, I do like Elfman. What about Giacomo?
Michael Giacchino's the guy, he was the guy who did all of Rogue One. Yeah.
But, you know, he did Lost. He's done some other movies.
I think Giaccano's doing Solo, too.
He might.
I think that's
I mean, honestly, to me, the top three are Williams, Zimmer, and Shore.
Yeah. I mean, Shore, like you said, purely off of
even just for Lord of the Rings alone, those three movies, some of the most beautiful fucking music I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah. Like, just the music in
the Hobbit theme, the fucking... The Uruk-hai themes. I mean, come on.
Yeah, just fucking fantastic.
Amazing. But I mean, Hans Zimmer, too. Like, the Man of Steel shit. The shit he came up with Man of Steel almost touches John Williams' Superman theme. Almost. It's not there, but almost. And Inception, and, you know, I mean, he's... Dunkirk, I know some people make fun like he literally just fell asleep on an organ, but I honestly thought like his contribution to that movie was just as big as everything else.
Yeah.
Because it kept that tension feeling for the entire time. I love that movie. All right, so those are our Williams stories. Good ones. I mean, sad ones, but also fun just to kind of hear. He has an opinion on the films, which... You know, this is a guy that's been working on them since 1975 or 6, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely gonna be different without him going forward. But the man has earned his retirement. 86 years old. John, enjoy your time off. You know, thank you for your contribution to the Star Wars world, but you have definitely earned your retirement, sir. So
yeah, seriously. Hopefully, you're rich as fuck.
Yeah, really, you deserve it.
All right, dude. So something where we may close on, depending on time. We're actually at a pretty good pace right now, so we may get to the bonus content if you're lucky, my friends. If you're lucky. But this week, and it's really because next week we're gonna get the official retail release of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, the novelization, the official version, which Ryan had a hand in creating. So this week we got a lot of anecdotes from the book, kind of moments and leaks, if you will, of the big moments. So I guess if you don't want to hear them, spoilers, but there's some good content here. Especially if you're someone that felt like The Last Jedi lacked some narrative punch, which I did not. Nick, again, hated it and fucking throws up every time he says the word The Last Jedi. But
it's hard to get out.
Yeah, he's getting better. He's getting better with it. But anyways, the first one, Nick, that I want to talk about is the big one. And I actually hope this comes to fruition. And it deals with, in the novel, we're going to get a hint at why Leia's probably not going to be around in Episode 9 now.
Yeah. So there's definitely some lingering effects on Leia after her time in space, and that's going to be used
I think some fans that hated that scene, I hope they respect now. I hope they're like, all right, cool. I mean, they're still not going to ever get over what they call the Mary Poppins scene. I mean, that's just what it's called. But they're essentially saying in the book that Leia takes a heavy dose of fucking sun to her face and whatever the fuck hypoxia is.
Hypoxia, I think, is some sort of lack of oxygen.
Yeah, like it's some sort of suffocation, I think.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the oxygen levels in your blood, and then also, like you said, she's dealing with that in solar radiation.
Yeah, so even though she saved herself with the Force and eventually got through her coma, the impact of being sucked out into fucking space is going to be too much for her human body to handle.
Yeah, even though, I mean, the Force can only do so much for you. I mean, if you, like we've seen with all the Jedi in fucking Episode 3 and the prequels, you know, when you get shot by 20 blaster bolts, the Force ain't gonna do much.
Yeah,
you're just gonna die, and that's kind of how you know things are gonna go down for Leia. She saved herself.
It's still
for
why
the time.
Obi and Yoda are impressive as fuck, and Luke at this point, because they literally just were like, "Okay, see ya, poof."
Yeah, just pieced out. Also,
I mean, Obi especially, the motherfucker was gonna take a blade to his gut and just fucking was like, "I'm out."
Yeah, it's like, I'll take it, but I know where I'm going, bitch. Peace.
Love it.
Just drops it like a pimp. But yeah, so for all the people out there, I mean, like that scene, I don't get it. Like, I understand that like people can be upset at anything that they want to, but I'm like, you're gonna pick that? Like, that's not even really a big deal.
It's weird too, because there's two camps of hate for that scene. There's the camp that they're like, well, the Force can't do that. It's like,
who are you? Are you the fucking father?
Yeah, are you fucking George Lucas? And then the other camp is like, well, it just looks weird as fuck. And yeah. I agree. It is kind of weird looking. I'm not going to lie. But when the first time I saw it, I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there was never a moment in my mind
where I buy it.
I'm like, yeah, like there was nothing in my head that was like, the Force can't do that.
I was like, it's the Force, and she's a fucking Skywalker, of course.
Yeah,
of course it's going to do that.
Come on, like the people. Yeah, I can understand the people. Like, it looks weird because it does. I mean, like when you do something like that, of course it's going to look weird.
She does look like Mary Poppins. She does, dude.
Bro, I mean, like they could have positioned her a little bit different.
Yeah, she did not have to float in like a fairy. I mean, she was just missing the umbrella. That's it.
Look, if you want to do it, I mean, like, have her coast in Superman style, both hands behind her back, something. But it does
or just have her, like, kind of float towards it, like the Force is pulling her in like a tractor beam. Like, she's not even, like, using her body to pull. Like, the Force is actually sucking her in.
Yeah, dude, like, you could have done, there could have been a ton of different ways to do it.
I'm surprised that someone didn't just tap him on the shoulder and be like, is that really what you want it to look like?
He's like, we're Disney now, bro. We have to.
Yeah.
we got to throw a bone to the mouse. We got to do it.
Yeah.
But But yeah, so for those of you out there who are like, the Force can't do that, one, you're an idiot, and two, here, you're finally getting your little bone that says she's going to die now because of it.
Do you not think that this could almost set up her being killed in the fucking opening crawl and opening with the funeral now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the way that this is leaning.
General Leia succumbs to her fucking space wounds.
Yeah.
The resistance is shattered even further, but they've rebuilt under Rey's leadership and blah, 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 and Poe and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but I feel like I said before when we were talking about all the ways to do it, if you're going to do it that way, you have to open on a funeral. Have to.
Oh, that's what I said. I was like, they write it, but the opening shot is panned down the fucking dead Leia.
Yeah. I think that's the way you got to do it. So,
and if it's dead Leia, do they show her face, or is it just a fucking grave? Or
that's what I was about to say. I don't really think they can do open casket because they had the whole deal.
Yeah, they've committed. But do you think they have the ability at this point to graft her out from 8 and kind of paste it on like a fucking dummy for 9 just for that purpose?
Oh yeah, I mean they could take her face and
like just from stock footage and fucking tweak it and just drop it there.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, they had her like kind of dead faced from the coma, like
right.
They showed that overhead shot of her. So if they just take out that glare from the fucking glass, then you got it.
And you know they can do it. I mean, they're fucking wizards. So
oh yeah, they can do it 100%.
And in the end, I mean, we've said 1,000 times. All of us, I don't think there's a question out there, would have loved to have seen it play out as intended with Carrie alive. There's no doubt about it. I think it would have been 10 times better than what we're going to get. That's not saying what we're going to get is going to be horrible, but I do think this is one of the best options that really makes the most sense, especially because they're so committed to not bringing her back in digital form. Or, you know, like other avenues we've talked about, maybe she only communicates through holograms or through communicators. But even then, we're like, that just doesn't make sense. I mean, she needs a send-off, and the best way to do that is to sum it up in the fucking crawl and then pay off with the funeral.
Yeah, just get it out the way quick. And then it also...
And it sucks, man. It blows. It totally blows because we've seen enough... And we know enough of fans that what she was going to be in 9, and it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, she was going to be the guy, the girl in 9. She was going to be it.
You know her and Kylo were going to have a fucking magical moment. Either way, it was either going to be fucking hardcore depressing or, like, super inspiring. You know it.
Yeah, it was going to be one of those moments that was going to probably... live in Star Wars pantheon in the history.
I mean, just look at the moment they exchange in this film.
Yeah, and it was just
to me, I think that's a big moment. It's just it's a fucking snap of a finger.
Yeah, and it's not even, they weren't even looking at each other. It was just the connection and the Force. I mean, that was a fantastic scene. And
well, at this point, the only people we know that can affect Kylo like that are his mother and Rey.
Yeah, because his father means dick shit to him. Clearly,
he really had beef with Han. There's no doubt. Yeah. But
and
I
then
mean,
all
Mommy
Luke does is bring out the rage.
Right? Mommy is huge to him still.
Yeah, and like you said, that connection with Rey is still there. So the ability for him, I mean, his fate is not sealed. And God, I really want to see a redemption story from Kylo, but.
Well, I don't think we have this pulled up, but I think it came out last week or even this week, and we just forgot to link it. But I believe in the novel, there's also hints that Kylo has a little bit, little more feelings for Rey than just wanting her to be his partner.
Yeah,
in terms of like he kind of digs her a little bit.
And honestly, dude, like we've talked about a lot. Around the end of The Last Jedi, like his motivations for becoming the big bad are all now gone. I mean, he wanted to live up to the mantle of his grandfather, which he has now surpassed.
He beat. I mean, he made Vader look like a fucking tool.
Yeah, and also he wanted to kill Luke. Like Luke was his real driving rage. Now Luke is gone, and there's nothing left for him on the dark side, honestly. Like, he doesn't want to just rule the galaxy with an iron fist. We saw that in the moment with Rey when he was like, we could do it together. So he clearly does not want to be this sole dictator. So there's nothing left for him there. So that's why I really want to see this redemption story, is to really...
Kylo's a disaster, man. That's why I love him. I mean, he's just a fucking disaster.
Yeah, like, no matter what happens, like, he's achieved his ultimate goal in it, and now, once he's at that pinnacle, he realizes, like, fuck, like, there's nothing for me here. Like, what's left? And that's going to leave a lot of huge decisions for him in episode 9, and that's why I'm so interested in what his character arc is. And I'd really like to see the redemption, just to make that full kind of, people want to see differentiation between the original trilogy and this one. Well, we got it in 8, and then we can also get it with a different ending in 9. I mean, yeah, Vader came back, but Vader also fucking burned. He was dead. Kylo still has the ability to turn back and then do good for the galaxy and still live. So,
yeah, man.
I'm down. I'm really interested.
He's a curious motherfucker, as Obi-Wan liked to say a lot in Attack of the Clones. Curious? That's curious. Curious? That's curious. You guys know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Fantastic written character, Kylo.
Yeah, so another, and this one's more of a rumor from the novelization, but apparently it's going to reveal that Luke had a wife. So some people are speculating, could it be Mara Jade and blah, blah, blah. But the interesting thing is apparently there's a mention at some point in time that he was hooked up.
Yeah, so apparently it's like one of the first pages in the book. The exact line says, Luke Skywalker stood in the cooling sands of Tatooine, his wife by his side. Very interesting. And it was also, I mean, like, that was one of the things that we talked a lot about speculation-wise leading up to Episode 8, before we had the reveal of who all the characters were. We were seeing, initially it was around Laura Dern. We're like, okay, Laura Dern's cast, we don't know who she is. A lot of people wondered, is Rey Skywalker a fucking Snoke? Is she a Kenobi? Is she a Palpatine? I mean, come on, man. It's everybody. Yeah, so for those, like you brought up, Mara Jade, for those of you who are fans of the old expanded universe, that was Luke's wife in the old expanded universe. Mara Jade was originally an assassin for the Emperor. She was sent to kill Luke multiple occasions, and upon foiling her multiple times, Mara Jade eventually fell in love with Luke, betrayed her ties to the Empire, and then her and Luke got married, had Ben Skywalker, who Kylo was probably named after as a little nod to the old EU for the new trilogy, and ultimately died at the hands of her nephew, Jason Solo, who was Han and Leia's son in the old EU, who had also turned to the dark side. He killed her with a poison blade. So, yeah, it's very interesting to see that that there could be a possibility of Luke having a wife, and that would be interesting to see if something happened between him and his wife, and that also kind of led to the sequestering, like him throwing himself out of the galaxy. Everything kind of compounded on top of each other to lead Luke into this, sequestered life on Acto.
Yeah, but according to most people, Luke's a fucking pussy piece of shit.
I mean,
he got a disservice. He got shafted.
He definitely got that.
He got fucked. I mean, Nick's out there every weekend with a sandwich board still.
Dude,
sitting there like, Luke got fucked. Luke got fucked.
In front of the Alamo Draft House every week.
Yeah, when people buy tickets for Star Wars, he spits on them.
It's like, what are you doing?
Like, how dare you?
You're the problem here.
How dare you?
I have a clipboard with me. Sign this petition.
Yeah.
Get it overturned.
Get it aborted from canon. Save Star Wars for the future generations.
I'm pounding the pavement for you guys out there. I'm trying to get this fixed.
Rian Johnson is Palpatine reborn.
He is everything that has been bad in the Star Wars universe brought to life. But so yeah, that's a possible another like me and Matt were saying pre-cast, like this book has a lot of stuff in it that really, you know, could be interesting, not only for context for the movie itself, but also context going into episode 9. For TFA's book, I mean, the only thing that was really a big reveal from that book was, like you said, off cast, was the fact that Snoke was in Rey's head saying, like, kill him, when she had him down on the ground in the fight on.
Yeah, and she
Stark
also recognized that she was feeling like the dark pull. Like,
yeah,
I mean, she again didn't understand that there's a light and dark side of whatever she was feeling, which is the Force. But she clearly was feeling this pull from a more sinister side of this magical power.
Yeah, so that was pretty much all that came out of episode 7's book, but it seems like the novelization of Last Jedi could have a lot of meat to it, because, you know, a lot of people want further context in some of these things, and they're not patient enough to wait until the 9th movie comes out. So you'll probably get some questions answered with the book.
I mean, dude, let's think about, based on the fact that the Blu-ray or the home release is going to have 14 deleted scenes, I mean, there was a lot of content cut from the fucking movie.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
a lot. I mean, 14 deleted scenes, that is a lot.
I mean, 14 deleted scenes are usually, you know, 2 minutes, maybe 3.
Not even that, dude. Yeah. Sometimes they're like a couple seconds.
Yeah, a few seconds, but I mean, you're talking, you could get around 20 minutes of extra content from this. So we'll see. I mean, it is very interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's enough time. I mean, we're on track. I think we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the deleted scenes. So,
yeah,
you know, stick around, please. But we have one more little reveal from the Last Jedi novel first.
Yeah, and that's around Snoke and Luke Skywalker. So previously, all we knew about Snoke and Luke is that Luke knew who Snoke was, and Snoke knew who, you know, Luke was. That was it. And now we're getting a little bit more context into why these two know each other, and it's because they were both searching for Jedi relics, correct, Matt?
Well, I guess while Luke at least was searching for Jedi lore, he came into contact with Snoke, but they're saying here, they qualify that it's unclear if it was physically or via the Force. And again, we know now it could be either or, but apparently Snoke gained deep respect for Skywalker at this point. But Snoke was also gifted with the Force since a young age and was able to use it to see his future. So again, in theory, this may be why he turned against Luke.
Yeah, see, that's something that's very interesting to me, to say that he was gifted with the Force at a young age. We've never really heard it referred to like that, like gifted with the Force. It almost, I mean, like, maybe I'm reading it wrong. But like,
I mean, no, you're not. But I mean, technically, in the days of the Jedi, that's when Force sensitives were identified. You know,
well, yeah,
it was essentially considered a gift if your child was born with Force abilities. So,
yeah,
I mean, I guess
like, I was reading it more as like it was given to him, like
right.
Gifted.
No,
I know what you mean.
I understand. I think it can apply to both meanings, but you're right. It's a little misleading. But it does go on to explain that Snoke was powerful enough in the Force to essentially conceal himself from Palpatine. And then he used Operation Cinder, which these people in the article failed to understand, that was explained in Battlefront 2.
Yep.
That was, and I believe in Aftermath, right? In one of the novels. I mean, it was essentially, this was Palpatine's oh shit plan, where it was like, if the Empire fails, I'm not failing, and no one's getting anything I created.
Yeah.
Fucking burn it all, fuck everybody, fuck you, restart it in my name.
Yeah, whoever wrote this article definitely missed that, because it was a primary part of the storyline for the game, and you're right, it was also in the Aftermath novels, because that's where they found out about
Yeah, and Jakku, I mean, Palpatine had one of his little fucking forts set up, which revealed in the game that in these little fucking bunkers, he was keeping relics that he has collected and stolen from the Jedi. I mean, that's where Luke gets the key or the compass that probably led him to Acto.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but I mean, essentially, Snoke, once Cinder was going on, he used that as the front to basically take over the Empire and turn it into the First Order.
Yeah. So good. So hopefully, this leads into a little bit more background on Snoke. God, man, it's just so he's such an interesting character, and I really do want to learn more about him. He does, dude.
I mean, I in the end, I'm completely fine with how his arc played out in these movies. Would I have liked to seen something else? Probably, yeah. Why not? But I love Jedi. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I really, really enjoy TLJ. But I do think this dude at this point in time deserves a legitimate explanation about why he became the man that he was when we met him.
Yeah,
in this trilogy. I mean, you have to.
Just such not only a striking visual presentation by the way he looks, but I mean, the minimal amount of time that he was in that movie,
and we
the
know
way
that he didn't always look like this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how did he get like this? And then Andy Serkis did a masterful job portraying him with limited screen time. And, like, just the fact, like, the way that he delivered the lines, his stature, and, all of his bravado and his confidence in himself, I really want to see where that all came from. And, like, like you said, who this guy was before he turned into this deformed monster and leader of the First Order. I mean, this guy is a fantastic character.
Let me throw this out there. This is, like, hypothetical central. What if Star Wars Resistance is an animated show and it explores that early period?
God, man, that would be fucking fantastic.
And we get fed Snoke backstory through an animated medium.
Dude, I would love it.
Would you be down with that? Like, would you accept that? Yeah,
100%, dude. I mean, really, like, I'm not a snob as to where the content comes from. Like, I just want the content.
Oh, me neither. I mean, you know me. I mean, we already talked about. I mean, I'm one of the biggest supporters of the animated Star Wars projects. Even Forces of Destiny, those little animated shorts that came out, I believe, through YouTube. Believe it or not.
Yeah,
they're even good little snippets, and it's all female based, and more power to them. But they're all good little canon nuggets.
Yeah. I mean, even little things like you said, the Freemaker adventures were
really, and that's cool. Good stuff too.
So yeah, dude, if they want to include Snoke's backstory heavily in the new Resistance,
because I mean,
project,
think about it. Where would you
down.
want the Resistance cartoon to be set? I mean, right now where it's decimated and they're turning into rebellion, or to where Leia was just getting it started back in the early days, 20 years prior to Episode 7, or 15 years or 10 years prior to 7.
Yeah, I think it's got to be when the Resistance was still a strong force to be reckoned with. Like, it's so weird because in the time of these movies, we've only seen the Resistance as a heavy force and then it being completely decimated. And then also we were led to believe that, like, the First Order was always around as, like, this rogue faction of the New Republic's governmental system, and then it splintered off and became a counterfaction, like an actual hostile enemy force. So I want to see how that spun, and to do that, you really do need kind of like a series format to do it. I don't know if you could do that all in like a movie. I mean, you'd have to have more than one movie.
I really do. I think if this Resistance thing is going to be an animated project, they could totally do it. And you could totally flesh out Snoke in that. I mean, he would still be probably the mangled Snoke we know, but through story arcs, you could have flashbacks or this, that, or the other thing.
Oh, yeah. People probably knew who Snoke was before he turned into this. I mean, Snoke's probably not even his real name, one. But people probably knew him before he turned into the leader of the First Order, so we could get secondhand accounts from people who knew him when he was, maybe he was part of the New Republic governmental system. Maybe he was like a senator or something like that. Maybe he was, maybe he was the leader.
I think even in this, they still explain that he was from this outer unexplored regions, though, like areas that have never been broached.
Yeah, the unexplored regions. It was the same areas that Revan and Malak went off to during the Mandalorian Wars.
And where Palpatine was kind of looking into because he was feeling some sort of
pull from there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you've played, unexplored regions are actually kind of like, I don't want to say explored, but like they're talked at a little bit in now non-canon Star Wars The Old Republic MMO. That's where Emperor Valkorion was amassing the Eternal Empire for the Eternal Throne thread and stuff like that. And that's where he raised Valen and, oh god, it kills me that I can't remember. Valen is his daughter, and his other son, he had two sons. One of them was killed by
Skippy.
the other.
If you don't know name, just make it up.
Yeah, he raised his children there, and then also put together the entire Eternal Empire. So the unexplored regions of space have always been this nexus for kind of like dark side dealings and dark side energy, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that it's been brought up not only through the video games but also through the novels and the hopefully maybe through a TV series.
It'd be great. It has to function just like Rebels. Like, you completely make up new main characters, but they mingle with established characters.
Agreed.
I really think Rebels is fantastic. It kills me that it's ending on Monday already. It just came back. I mean, it's insane. I don't know. I really feel like this show could have had at least another season, but hey, whatever. But if Resistance is truly an animated show, it has to be the same format as Rebels.
It's going to be such a long layoff, though, between the end of Rebels.
Oh, yeah, we're talking 2 years probably.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Unless they have some kind of intermediary plan,
something. Well, they do. I mean, I still think it's a year at best. I mean, we're talking 2019 easily.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was a little nugget about Snoke. Again, another character that's great. I really want to I'm anxious to get into him. So whenever the content around Snoke comes out that kind of gives his background, I'm going to dive right into it because this dude's... I was always been a fan of like the dark side lore and the dark side characters because to me, their stories are so much more in depth and interesting.
Well, dude, in the end, just like Luke is trying to explain to Rey, the Jedi are a bunch of fucking dickwads. I mean, in the end, their legacy is failure, and that's what Luke was saying. They're a bunch of losers. They're a bunch of self-righteous, narcissistic asswipes that are so high and mighty that they literally can't see anything that's going on around them. Yeah,
and a lot of times, like especially with the Old Republic Jedi, I mean, their personal stories are generally a little bit more straightforward because they're taken to the temple as children. Like, they don't have a lot of time to form as human beings before they're turned into Jedi. Whereas with Sith, I mean, especially if you look into somebody like if you've read the Darth Bane trilogy, like,
well, they're rogues, they're assholes. Yeah, I mean, they don't comply. They even if they begin as Jedi, they're like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, and so it makes for interesting narrative around their character. Whereas like somebody like Obi-Wan Kenobi, yeah, his stories as a Jedi were fantastic. I mean, his arc as a Jedi was fantastic, but I mean, he really had no life prior to that.
No, he's a fucking robot.
Yeah,
he's a fucking but he was literally a Jedi by the book until he died.
Yeah, and that's what makes somebody like Luke a little bit more interesting because he didn't have that program training.
Well, he eventually realized he idealized them because of what Obi-Wan told him about what they were, but once he realized exactly who they were, he's like, are you kidding me? Like this faction, they're really saying that the Force belongs to them, and if they're gone, that no one is allowed to use the Force. Fuck them. These guys are a bunch of fucking losers. They got played. They got played by one man. Fucking 10,000 Jedi got played by one man.
But don't worry, there's still going to be Jedi because Rey is a Jedi.
Of course. But she's a new Jedi.
She's a new Jedi.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I mean,
she can have feelings and be normal.
Yeah. They're gonna basically what they're gonna do is they're gonna rebuild the Jedi Order through Rey, like Luke rebuilt the Jedi Order in the old EU, where he was like, look, you can marry, you don't have to do all of this slavish bullshit. We're not gonna force it to happen with children either. Like, you can
I even think Luke's temple in this trilogy was probably that way. He just fucked it up.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have a lot of again, like that's something that we're probably going to get some background on, whether it be through novels or TV series. But yeah, I mean, it could be true. Like, he could have had older apprentices, people that he brought in at
especially if that rumor in the book that he had a wife, I mean, then for sure his trainees were probably allowed to love and possess things. So
yeah, absolutely. And going back to the old EU, you had Jedi who came into the fray who were trained at an older age, like Corran Horn and like Kyle Katarn. So there's definitely room for there to be, some flexibility within not only the new Jedi moving forward with Rey, but also with his new Jedi Order that kind of fell apart later on. So cool stuff. That's what I love about Star Wars right now, man. There's so much to be explored still. There's so much content to be had still.
It's literally never ending.
Yeah, it's fucking fantastic.
It's fantastic. So, like I said, we got enough time. So let's just roll into this. This week, and literally today, Entertainment Weekly dropped some bombs on us in regards to the 14 deleted scenes that are going to be included with Star Wars The Last Jedi home release. And they provided details on 5 of them. We actually got some imagery for a few of them, which was cool. So we're just going to go through them hopefully quickly. We're not going to spend a ton of time on these. Just a quick opinion on, that would have been cool, or okay, we understand why it was cut. But anyway, starting out with the first one. So apparently, excuse me, Nick, BB-8 is kind of a peeping Tom.
Yeah, he likes to, like you put in the article, he likes to record his human buddies, and the one way that comes through is that in one of the deleted scenes, we're gonna see Finn watching a recording on BB-8 of Rey as he's pining for her. He's really missing his new best friend. And he's going to see that through.
I mean, based on the article and I guess the way the scene plays out is, like, this is still when Finn's contemplating, like, do I want to be here or not? Like, do I need to go? And BB-8 kind of is reminding him, like, yo, she's with us too. She's doing what she's got to do. Blah, blah, blah. She's with you. Yada, yada, yada. But I guess also Finn says, dude, you're creepy as fuck for recording that, which would have been a cool line. So the other one is a scene we've already kind of talked about, but the interesting reveal in this article, though, Nick, I think that's the only thing we need to focus on. And it's the scene where Rey goes to save the caretakers because Luke is projecting this attack by a bunch of raiders. But the interesting thing that was revealed now is that Johnson confirmed that this was not Luke's third lesson.
Okay, so like in the article and like the piece you wrote is like he was trying to teach her, which I don't think is true.
No, he's right, dude. I'm telling you right now, this is why you got to watch the Clone Wars again. I just watched an episode where Obi-Wan was literally saying the same shit. Like, listen, we can't get involved with these farmers. Because if we do,
I know what you're talking about.
He's like, if we do, the fucking separatists are going to come down and fuck them up more than the pirates.
But they do anyway.
Yeah.
Like, he says that. He's like, we can't do it. And then 5 minutes later in the episode, they're fucking helping the farmers. So, like...
But there's other moments where him and Anakin disagree, and Anakin ends up doing it anyways, but Obi-Wan doesn't comply. So, I mean... I do buy that that would be the first Jedi reaction to this situation, which is essentially, why should we intervene when we know we're not going to be here to keep protecting them? Because if we protect them now, these bad guys are going to come back in bigger forces anyway.
I feel like you're right. You're definitely right that that's a platitude. Like, that is a platitude of the
That's
Jedi.
what I mean.
Like,
I'm saying not all of them subscribe to it, but I think it's taught to them that this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, like, it's one of those platitudes that they teach to people, like, hey, in this situation, you should do that. But in almost every situation, the Jedi who is in control of it will not do that. Because
it's the Ten Commandments, right? This is what you're supposed to do, but guess what? 99% of humans break most of them.
Yeah, and I mean, for most of the time too, it's for the greater good. Like, what are you gonna let? What's gonna happen? It's like, yeah, I'm a Jedi. I'm supposed to be a paragon of the universe, but I'm gonna let these poor farmers get raided by these pirates while I stand by and do nothing. Of course, you're not gonna do that. You're a good person. Like, that's just not gonna happen. And that's one of the things where, like, Luke's criticism of the Jedi comes in. He was more criticizing the institution of the Jedi because that's really all he knew about. Like, he didn't know about the individual Jedi and the heroics they did.
Well, he knew about their ultimate failure. Which,
yeah, like, all he saw was the failure, and he saw the books that laid out the platitudes, and he's right. Like,
which in the end, he should have looked at Yoda when Yoda showed up and punched him in the head. He should have grabbed Yoda and, like, gave him a fucking backbreaker and be like, dude. You, on your fucking watch, bro, you let one motherfucker destroy everything. You let one guy kill 10,000 of your Jedi and take over the fucking galaxy.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you to hit me in the head with a fucking cane, bitch? Right? You know what I'm saying?
That's right. It's a good fucking point.
I mean, think about Yoda's failure. Think about it.
Yeah,
think about Mace Windu's failure. I mean, think about all the Jedi Masters' failure on that fucking council. That council was loaded with fucking losers except for Anakin Skywalker.
It's just they got so complacent, and that was the problem. I mean, for 1,000 years, like Obi-Wan said in Episode 4,
they're pompous assholes. They were righteous assholes.
Yeah, they got so lazy and complacent that they couldn't see the threat that was right under their nose, and like that was. I mean, one, it could partially be a testament to Darth Sidious and his dealings and how he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Sith of all time. Yeah, just purely based off of his ability to
name a better Sith. Name a better Sith than Palpatine.
I mean, there's some Sith that can do some cool shit, but you're right.
Who literally took over the entire galaxy legitimately? Yeah, like he took it legitimately. They gave it to him. I mean, he didn't even have to overtake it. He literally was given the galaxy.
On a silver platter, handed straight to him. It wasn't like Revan and Malik who come back from the unknown regions with a fucking army and ready to go.
The entire Senate fucking were like, yeah, here, you get it. Here, we want you to be fucking emperor. Have it.
Yeah, and not only did they give him they gave him the empire. Like you said, they
made him an emperor.
Full fucking reign. Like they just clap with thunderous applause, like Padme says in Episode 3. Like,
so I mean, who was better than him? Who?
Nobody. If you wanted a 101 on how to take over a galaxy, you would sit down with Sheev Palpatine, and I still can't hate that first name.
He took over the galaxy while also convincing the Chosen One to become a bad guy.
Yeah, dude is legit.
Easy, like it was easy. He didn't even have to try on either one. He didn't have to try.
And dude, now that I'm thinking about it too, to jump back to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes for a second, Palpatine is so much more powerful than Yoda in that game, than Grand Master Yoda in that game.
Well,
Yoda's pretty cool, but like unlocking Emperor Palpatine.
Well,
and,
I mean, if you really want to get into it,
ridiculous.
the Jedi in general are shafted in that game.
They really are.
grossly misrepresented.
And they're so underpowered.
That's
too.
what I mean. Like, I mean, they're useless. I mean, honestly, when I first started playing the game as a free player, and they were huge because you could get them early, you could rank them up, you could star them, whatever.
Yeah,
but they're useless. I mean, they're so weak. Rebels rule life in that game. Not to get in another tangent with this game, but I mean, the game is all about the rebels.
Yeah, the rebels are pretty fucking
If you're a rebel and you have a fucking blaster, you own.
Yeah. All you need if you want to start playing that game, here's a tip: get Biggs up quick.
It's called Wigs, my friends. It's called Wigs. Wedge and Biggs can't beat it. Can't fucking beat it.
And then throw in just round out the team with some other rebels. Get
Chase,
get Leia.
the Chase, fucking cheer it and base. I mean, it's Chase and Wigs. It's Chase, Wigs, and CLS. If you have that, you're pretty much unstoppable.
There you go.
CLS is one of the most OP video game characters of all time. I love him.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Commander Luke is just so fucking broken. But
you need to dedicate your life to getting him because he's everything in that game. He will change your raid runs like you go from 1 million to fucking 10 million.
How often do they do the events to get him? Probably like once a year.
It's maybe every third year, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so...
I mean, not even a quarter. I mean, it might be thirds.
But yeah, dude, so, again, like, Palpatine is definitely a badass Sith, and, I mean, it's just...
I don't even know why we're talking about him.
Yeah, how did we get here?
Literally, we were talking about deleted scenes from The Last Jedi, so I have no clue. So we're just going to do a hard stop right back to the deleted scenes.
Next up on the deleted scenes is a scene of Luke mourning the death of Han Solo. I feel like
we're like Thor and Ragnarok, where he's going through that Willy Wonka tunnel.
Yeah, and he's like, what
and
the
route,
fuck?
Yeah, en route to becoming a gladiator. Yeah. We literally just fucking did some weird shit there. Yeah, go ahead.
We followed the White Rabbit for sure.
Wow.
So yeah, the next scene that's up is Luke in mourning over Han's death. And that was something that was definitely, that I would have liked to see.
This one I think is a true shame that got cut. And again, if you go read the real article, I mean, Johnson kind of hinted the same thing. Like, I mean, all these, clearly he wanted in, and he made the case for all of them. Like, the reason he took them out is because it was just pacing. The previous one we talked about with Rey and the Thing, he's like, he just thought it was more of a shock to where if he left it where Luke and Rey were kind of on an upswing, but then she goes ahead and meets with Kylo anyways, and then Luke's fucking disappointed, and then that's what shatters their fucking relationship ultimately and drives her away. So I think he made the right call there, but the Luke in mourning, that's a rough one.
Yeah, dude, I don't know how long this scene was.
Even the shot, like if you look at the post on entertainmentboo.com, I mean, the shot of Hamill is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking. But that was like, because like you felt that scene was coming the first time you watch it. Like, they busted. Chewie busts in, kicks the door in. Chewie, what are you doing here? That whole interaction, and then he has that moment.
Yeah, he's
where's
like, wait.
Han?
Yeah, he's like, wait, where's Han?
And you can hear it in his voice, even at that moment. Like,
well, he knows
it.
He knows it. I mean, as soon as he sees a Hanless Chewie, and I'm coining that, a Hanless Chewie, like that should be the new action figure. That's how they should sell it. Hanless Chewie.
Man, that's just so depressing.
Yeah, it's sad. But as soon as he says it, you can tell that he knows. He knows, like he's asking a rhetorical question, even though Chewie gives him a
yeah, and it's just but like that this scene exists. Like even though it wasn't in the movie, that Luke was broken by it again. Like so many things have broken him, but like this is another one that just breaks him in half. Like,
well, yeah. So initially, what was supposed to happen when he finds out that Han's dead, he goes back into his hovel and places his hands on this table and just looks out into space, and you can see a devastated look. But at the same time, they cut to Leia with the same look, staring out of the out of the Radis, like shaking. And it was supposed to be them sharing a moment, not really because at this point Luke still hadn't opened himself back up to the Force, but just mirroring that they're both kind of reflecting on the death of Han.
Yeah. I think that would have been a great fucking scene. Again, like something like that is a part where I wish you had the ability with deleted scenes to like insert them into their spot.
I write it in the beginning of this post, basically saying like it's a fucking shame when you know that there's 14 deleted scenes. Again, 14. That's a lot, people. 14 were cut. it's a shame that he's not allowed to issue a director's cut. But I don't think Disney is that type of studio.
No, dude. No, I don't
They've
think
never done that. Like,
has ever come out for a
never.
Disney movie.
I mean, you get that shit on like fucking Lionsgate, maybe Sony.
Yeah, like not from Disney.
Warner Brothers will do it, right? They did it for BVS. They did it like an Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
New Lionel did it. They did it for Lord of the Rings and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, for Lord of the Rings though, it wasn't like immediate. Like it wasn't quickly soon thereafter. It was like that because that was like a special edition shit. They were like, okay.
Well, yeah, and I'd be glad to fucking pay for that.
Oh yeah, dude, I would too. Like if they do something with this trilogy where they all come out and then whatever 2021 they're
like director's cuts,
box set, director's cut, 4K
Fuck
Blu-ray.
Yeah, dude. I would kill someone for that. Like I'd kill someone to get it before them.
Oh yeah, dude.
That's how much I'd want that. I would literally murder somebody.
I paid $100 for the Blu-ray director's cut Lord of the Rings that we were just talking about. Like I would pay more than that for the Star Wars, for fucking Star Wars director's cut of this new trilogy. I'd be all over it for sure. So next up is the Supremacy infiltration scene,
which was supposed to be comedic in tone, but I like this one, but I understand why this one was scrapped.
Yeah, so while Finn and Rose were excuse me, infiltrating the Supremacy ship, Snoke's flagship, there's going to be a scene on an elevator where a trooper confronts Finn and asks where he's been and how he got promoted to an officer so quickly.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's funny in itself, but what it shows is that the First Order was so embarrassed by his betrayal and what he did to Starkiller Base that they basically covered up his defection.
Yeah, they didn't know anything about it.
Like his former squad mates see him on Supremacy, and they're like, dude, how the fuck did you become an officer? Shit, that's crazy. Like, I can't believe you beat me there.
Giving you shit like 3 days ago, right?
Yeah,
Holy shit, you made it. But yeah, that would be a pretty funny scene. But that's probably going to be one of those like 15, 20 seconders like you were talking about earlier, like pretty.
Yeah, like it's probably not even finished. Like there's no finished effects on it or anything like that.
No, yeah, especially if it's in an elevator, you'll probably just get like this blank interior like it was on the set, and then them in the costumes, somebody walking in. So yeah, and then the last one also
this one's kind of crazy. Like this one to me is like really different how it played out.
Yeah, it's a different showdown between Finn and Phasma.
Vastly different, like a vastly different conclusion to their battle.
Yeah.
So essentially, instead of Finn clearly getting the upper hand and whacking her down into the pit, she actually gets the upper hand on him and has him pinned. And there's troopers all around him. He's basically toast. But as he's about to lose it, he basically calls Phasma out. He's like, "Yo, why do you think Starkiller Base went down? She's the one that gave up the codes to save her life." And at that point, her mask is still cracked, so like the troopers can see her getting all panicky, like, "Oh shit!" And out of nowhere, she just starts blowing them all away. Like she starts shooting her own troopers. And then as she puts her focus back on Finn, she gets blasted in the back. Like it's like a very clear she's done.
But yeah, very clear. And again, like I think that would have been better than what we got because. Yeah, I mean,
it's like I say, cool. Dude. In movies, man, if you don't see them dead, they're never dead.
True.
Like in pop culture, if you do not see them dead, they're not dead.
I mean, twice. This is twice that we think Phasma's dead. I mean, the first one we really didn't think. We all knew she was going to be back.
I mean, why the fuck do you think Rian Johnson literally like purposely did a close up of Snoke's tongue hanging out of his fucking head?
Yeah, and like
his severed torso, just to confirm, like, yeah, motherfucker's dead.
Yeah, like his body falling off the chair, like he is dead.
I mean, he purposely. I do feel like he purposely wanted to prove to everyone he is dead. By the way, this is how you prove someone is dead in pop culture.
Yeah, because I mean, for Phasma, we get her. Yeah, she falls down, and there's this plume of flame that comes up.
Yeah,
over
it's
her.
in the black. Would she fall into? Did she fall into space? Is there still like a compartment of the ship left?
I mean,
who
Finn
knows?
came up from something. Like, he was on a hover pad or wherever he came from. So, like, she could have landed on something. But
I'm just saying, like, either way, if she's dead, she's dead. But if she shows up in 9, I'm not gonna go like, well, how'd she get there? I'll be like, okay, well, sure, Boba Fett somehow got resurrected from a fucking Sarlacc pit. So
yeah, I mean, that dude fell in Sarlacc's mouth and then flew out. So you can come back, trust me. It'll happen.
Why not?
But I think that would have been a fucking fantastic scene because, gosh, it shows, like, again, it shows that insular nature of the First Order, and it kind of connects in a weird way to the elevator scene, like them not knowing that Finn was a defector. And, you know, saying like, oh, how did you get here? How did you become a captain so quickly? And then also them not knowing
they buy into it. Like, they wouldn't fully know that he is a fucking traitor and this, that, or the other thing.
Yeah, so, and then, you know, they would probably trust their squad mate.
Well, I mean, I read the Phasma comics that fully explains what she did, and she completely set up another First Order officer and fucking framed his ass and got him killed. Over her fucking betraying Starkiller base. So she is a self-righteous motherfucker. Like, she only cares about Phasma.
I think that would have been a pimp way to go out. Well, a pimp way to kill her, and then
again, he said this one again. He's just like purely pacing. It took too long. At that point, he's like, we are already long. You know, they're already at 2.5. I mean, his initial cut was what, 3:05, 3:15, something like that.
Yeah, and he got it down to like an hour 42, I think.
It was 2:42, 2:30, I believe. Who knows?
I can't remember. I thought it was around 2:40.
I think it's a little over 2.5. Either way, it's the longest Star Wars movie ever.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like, I'm definitely gonna indulge myself on these deleted scenes when the.
But you're right. It'd be nice, even if they didn't want to make a director's cut, if we could just fucking insert them on our own. Like, just play them with these shoddy clips, even though it's not gonna flow.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like, you'd be watching, they'd be like, meh, like this fucking janky scene would show up.
Yeah.
And then it would suck back down into the movie. It really wouldn't make any sense, but it'd be like, okay, well, I could see where they were going.
Yeah, you just get it in context. All you'd have to do is, like, timestamp them. And then,
like the Phasma scene, you'd see her get killed, and then you'd see her get killed again. You'd be like, all right, well, I guess I like the first option.
Yeah, exactly. You get to choose. Choose your own adventure. But, I mean, it worked the same way with fucking director's cuts. I mean, not director's cuts, director's commentaries. You just cue it up at the same time as the fucking film and play it over when it comes time.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty dope. But, yeah. So, yeah, what's the release date for the Blu-ray? 14th? Or 21st.
27 for disc, 13th for digital.
Yeah.
And
so,
as we decided last week, I think we're both going digital initially.
Yeah.
And then kind of hedging our bet that there's going to be some sort of special release later on, either 3D or director's commentary if that's not included. Or if they really want to make our fucking years a full-on true director's cut or a special edition, Lord of the Rings style.
I think that would be pretty sick.
I would take that.
Discs,
yeah.
3 discs.
I am surprised they wouldn't think about that, considering that they know they have a guaranteed return on their investment.
I mean,
even if they have to pay a few, couple, $5-10 million, maybe $5 million.
I think that they're gonna wait
to kind of like redo some of the scenes and make them work.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
They won't do it. I mean, there's no way they're doing it. Disney just doesn't do it. I've never seen it.
Hold out hope. I'm gonna just the box set. Do it the same way Lord of the Rings did it, dude. And it's just free money. It's free money. If they have to put $10 million into doing it with, like, you don't even have to do all the deleted scenes. Like, you only do certain ones anyway. So, like, even if they pump $5 million in each movie to remaster the deleted scenes and insert them for a special edition release, they'll make that back with the sale alone.
Yeah, easy. Well, fuck, they could re-release it in theaters just like they did for the original trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, if you sell that box set for 150, 9-disc special edition, people will buy it. I'll buy it.
Of course, and I already own the fucking half the movies anyways 30 times.
Yeah, so...
Literally, I don't need them anymore. I don't need episodes 1 through 6 anymore, period. I don't need it.
Oh, yeah. No.
I've got it on fucking digital in this format, that format, that format. I got it in Blu-ray. I got it in fucking DVD. I got it in fucking VHS. I got it in fucking, what do you want? What do you want? Blu-ray? I got it.
Here's what's going to happen. 2020, they're going to put out the 3 set of the new ones. New trilogy. And then
but how about just fucking 4K remaster, remake, well, not remake, but fucking super duper... res upgrade despecialized editions.
No, dude, that's what I was gonna say. 2022 despecialized, all 9, full go, director's cut, extra shit.
All
everything.
9. So what do you do? What do they do? Just episodes 1 through 3, you just see a blank screen for the entire runtime. Like there is no movie. Yeah, like you read the crawl, and then at the end it just says the end, and then you read the next crawl.
Here's what I want. This is gonna sound ridiculous, but this is what I want.
Oh, you're always calling for the prequels to be redone.
Well, no, not as a redone. This is what I want in terms of a box set, because this by the time that this would happen, everything's in a bow ready. So give me all the prequels, fine. This is one box set. Give me all the prequels, all of Clone Wars, every season. Give me all the seasons of Rebels. Despecialized 4K upres, original trilogy, special edition, new trilogy. Everything. Give me everything from the start of the prequels to the end of 9.
Lucasfilm charges you $800 for that, I bet.
I don't know, dude. I might pay it.
I'm just thinking, I mean, those motherfuckers are still charging, except for one time a year, they're charging, at least on iTunes, I think every platform, $100 for the fucking 6-pack digital.
Dude, if they did that, if they gave me all of Clone Wars, all of Rebels, I'm talking 4K, like everything, up-res it, 4K for everything, despecialized OT, special edition commentaries, like the director feature, everything. Give me everything. And if you throw in
$500, I bet $500.
If they threw in like a sideshow style Vader statue.
Oh, now you're getting greedy, dude. I mean, come on. I mean, you're talking about Disney here and Lucasfilm. They're not giving you a fucking sideshow statue. They'll give you like a fucking Hong Kong special, like something out of fucking shitty Chinese factory that sends stuff to arcades to give out for ticket prizes.
The one thing that would fit with that, though, is the Skywalker family saber. Just the hilt. It doesn't have to be functional. Like, I don't need sound, or I don't need fucking lights. You sell that box set and you have an addition of that.
I would. I mean, I don't even need. I do think that'd be fantastic. But in the end, I just need the despecialized fucking up-res versions of 4, 5, 6. Just give me the movies I grew up with. That's all I want.
Yeah. I think that is a possibility. I think that's a distinct possibility. Remaking the prequels the way that we all want them to be made probably won't happen. I'll hold on to that to my deathbed.
That deal was signed in blood, and George basically fucking put a hex on them if they break it. I'm telling you right now.
If they try to do it after he dies,
Bob Iger would die the next day. He would literally die the next day. If they announced it, he would die.
Blood curse. Yeah, him and Kathleen would both go down.
Dead. JJ would die too, just for being so attached to it.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it. We hit everything, right?
Yeah, man, we nailed it. So that's another successful Star Wars Time show. That's how we do it. We got you recapped on all things you need to know about that galaxy from so far
Before we close it out, quick shout out to one of our listeners. Left a comment on YouTube video, Achromatic, breaking it down for us in terms of the Rebels timeline and Ezra's birth. He correctly pointed out that Ezra was born on Empire Day, which is the day that the whole Republic was handed over to Sidious, and when Anakin had his full turnover to Darth Vader. It was also, one day after the birth of Luke and Leia, correct?
No, he's 1 day older.
Oh, 1 day older. 1 day before.
Yeah.
So thank you for pointing that out to us, leaving the comment on the YouTube video. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and speaking of Rebels, I mean, by the time you hear this, it's probably going to be over. But hey, man, rest in peace, my friends. That was a fantastic show. It's ending this Monday, March 5th, I believe. It's going to have a 90-minute finale, and that's it.
R.I.P. Rebels, and the wait for the next show continues. It starts on Monday.
Which we're thinking is going to be Resistance, as we so gossiped about tonight. So, yeah. All right, buddies and Force lovers. Speaking of the Force, may it be with you always.